Okay, it is 6 o'clock, and so we will begin to be respectful of everyone's time. So good evening, all. My name is Tom Ryan. For parents, if I haven't yet to meet you or interact with you, Principal of Cristo Rey. Welcome back, and this will be the start of several of these that we will actually have throughout the year, just to find that these are really helpful and trying to keep everyone up with the communication. So for this evening, a few reminders. One, this is being recorded. So if you need to duck out early, you will be able to access this on our website at some point. Two, the folks can mute themselves so that we can have better sound quality. This is a pretty thorough evening. We cover everything from your child's course load to their college process. So I'm really happy that we could do this. So let's begin the way we begin all things at Cristo Rey, which is in prayer, which always is the top of our agenda. And then we'll meet the teachers, and then Mr. Mullins will go over expectations and norms. We'll look at corporate work study. We'll have a health and safety update, and then we'll go into the college process. So let's begin the way we begin all things. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. This prayer comes from Marion Wright Edelman, and it goes as follows. O God, strengthen our hope for our children's sake. Strengthen our courage for our children's sake. Strengthen our discipline for our children's sake. Strengthen our ability to work together for our children's sake. Strengthen our spirit of sacrifice for our children's sake. Amen. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. At this time, I will turn it over to Ms. Powers to give you your welcome to your senior year.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Welcome, parents and students. It's so wonderful to have you back this year. We're, so pleased that some of your students are coming into school, and it's great to see them. And others who are staying home and working remotely, learning remotely, it's great to see them as well too. I think it's worth taking a minute just to think about how we got here today. For your families to think about, 4 years ago when your students started at Cristo Rey Boston, as we see now the young freshmen coming into the school. They look so young and inexperienced, and they look shy and quiet and a little intimidated. And then we see your children, your 17 and even 18-year-olds, who are now young adults and really ready and eager, I can tell, to take on the world. I want to remind you at Cristo Rey, right, we're about really one thing, and that's making sure that your students have the tools that they need to both graduate from high school, but also to go to college. And that's what we want to talk about, really this year, and talk about it over and over again. The goal is for 100% of these seniors to be enrolled in college next September. That's what we're working on. That's what we need your help with as their parents. And of course, the students need to stay engaged as well. They can't get distracted this year. They need to stay, make sure they're doing their homework, make sure they're coming to school, make sure that they're on time. Because this is, again, such an important year for them. But again, the goal is, and the expectation, it's not just a goal, it's an expectation, is that all of these seniors will be enrolled in college next September. And, hopefully, and with God's help, that they will be able to go to college in person, and we'll have this coronavirus behind us. So again, I'm just so pleased that you're here and that your students are here. We are, engaged in the business of learning at Cristo Rey Boston, of course, not just for, to prove academic achievement, but also to graduate and to support our citizens of the world and citizens of the United States. So it's both to have academic success, it's to put them in the position where they can choose any career that they want to and have just, fabulous professional success in their lives. But it's also that we're helping, and obviously because as parents you've entrusted your child to us, and that you've said that this is important, moral, ethical young people who are ready again to change the world, to take their place as citizens of the world and citizens of the U.S. So again, thank you. It's a long agenda tonight. a reminder that my door is certainly always open to any parent and any student. Love to chat with you and look forward to getting to see everyone at some point in person this year. Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Ms. Powers. And just to echo Ms. Powers, it's been great to see the seniors. You clearly want to make this a great year, and that message has been heard loud, that you want this to go well, and really appreciate you being partners with us with that. I'll turn it over to Mr. Mullins, who will take us through the introduction of the senior teachers.
Thanks, Mr. Ryan. Good evening, everyone. Just want to first apologize for the somewhat odd camera angle. Having some Wi-Fi issues at home, but nothing that a phone and a well-loved book can't solve. So thank you for bearing with me through that. In the next few minutes, we're going to hear from all of our 12th grade teachers. As you probably know by now, your students had some freedom in selecting their classes this year, especially around their advanced placement courses. So these lists of teachers and courses you see here will not apply to every single student, but you will get to hear from all of your students' teachers over the course of these next few minutes. So I will introduce each teacher and the courses that they are teaching to 12th grade, and they will give us just a minute or two summary of what your students will be learning in their class and some of their baseline expectations. And then after we hear from the teachers, I'll go into a little bit more detail about our school-wide norms and expectations for 12th graders. So up first, we have Mr. Casey Smith, who teaches our senior capstone, AP Government, and AP Psychology courses. Mr. Smith will be talking to you about the academic side of the senior capstone, and later in the evening, Ms. Retto and Mr. Torres will talk to you about the college advisory and guidance element of senior capstone. But without further ado, let me turn it over to Mr. Smith.
Hi, I am one of the few teachers at Cristo Rey that do get to teach every senior. I see every senior every school day, so that's good. It's a great group, and I teach 3 courses with the seniors. Senior Capstone is a new course, and this is a seniors only course that works in conjunction with the college counseling service through the first semester. We discuss interdisciplinary issues with the seniors in hopes that this introspection will aid them in developing a better sense of their role in the world and a better perspective on how to best portray themselves on their college application essays. We also explore life skills, positive character development, and persuasive writing techniques, all designed so that students may put their Cristo Rey education into action. The year will culminate in a final project where they will explore a personal passion in greater depth and develop a project that reflects their learning. The homework is mostly effort-based and is cognizant of the increased workload that seniors must bear during the fall semester. So far, it's been going great. Keep up the good work. My next course I teach is a smaller group of students, AP Psychology, which the best part about it is it's a little different every day and every chapter, and the kids that chose this elective are genuinely interested in the topic. So it's fun for me to teach. This is a college introductory level course that's aligned with a curriculum designed by the College Board. It's a survey course exploring the basic tenets of psychology. The class will be gearing its syllabus for the May 2021 AP Psychology test that all your students will be registered to take. The reading and study demands for this course exceed those of a typical CRB course, and students will need to devote additional time for reading and review. I've told students to budget at least an hour a night, and even if you don't have homework, you have homework in this course. The final class is AP Government, which is a smaller class, but it's a fun class because there's already spirited debates and active participation, both remotely and live. So you sometimes have to turn around to see where that voice came from. This is also a college-level American government course modeled after a typical introductory poli-sci class. We're following the timeline and curriculum suggested by the College Board. They will take the AP Government test in May. This semester, in addition to the text and the content of the AP Government curriculum, we're closely watching the pending presidential election. Each student has been assigned a few states to be the resident expert at CRB on. We're going to have weekly electoral map exercise where we monitor and try and predict the election outcome. We had our first this Monday, and we're going to look at it all the way up. I think there's 48 days left to the election. This class requires intensive, often dense reading. The good part is a lot of it so far has been a review from last year's U.S. history course. The homework commitment is greater than that of a typical CRB class, but so far I've been very impressed with the effort in the class, and their first formative assessment went really well. So glad to see kids are interested in it and doing great. Back to Mr. Mullins.
Thanks, Mr. Smith. Up next, we have Mr. Matt Levine, who also has the privilege of teaching all of your seniors in both in either English 12 Honors or the Advanced Placement English Language course. Mr. Levine.
Yes, I am Matt Levine. I have been at Cristo Rey for now, I think it's my 5th year. Weird to say out loud. So I have taught at least half of your students as freshmen. So it's really interesting to see them again now as seniors. I have also been teaching seniors every year I've been here. And really the mission of my senior level course, whether it's AP or regular, doesn't matter, is to prepare students to read and write at the college level. Getting into college is awesome. It's an amazing, amazing accomplishment. But I'm at this point focused on preparing them to succeed in college and to excel at a high level. So we go over, different kinds of essays that we'll write in college, and we practice those kind of essays, including a research paper that they'll write towards the end of the year. And we start the year with the college essay to help out with the college process, which will be talked about a little bit later. So all students right now are in the process of writing their college essay. The one thing that I do want to tell parents, that especially considering everything that's going on in the world right now, we're definitely going to be more lenient with things like deadlines if people communicate. I'm very strict outright, but if there are anything going on that's causing students to not be able to get something in on time, communication is going to be really, really big. So if your student's complaining about something about stress, remind them they need to communicate with me, and they should know that communicating with me is the best bet. That's all I got. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks, Mr. Levine. Up next, we have another veteran CRB teacher with the privilege of teaching all of your students. That is Mr. Jonathan U. Phelps, who teaches our ethics course. Mr. U. Phelps.
Thank you. Yes, it's wonderful that all the seniors have the privilege of taking my class, Ethics Honors. I've been a religion teacher at CRB for 8 years. I teach both 9th grade and 12th grade religion, and I'm also the boys' varsity soccer coach. As mentioned, the senior course in religion is ethics. Let me tell you about the purpose of the course. Why study ethics? Ethics is an examination of the reasons that support moral choices. It's a never-ending conversation or argument about how a person should act and for what purpose. All people make decisions that have a moral value to some degree every day. Looking closely and critically at one's own behavior is necessary to make good choices. In this course, we're focusing on developing the skills of ethical argument by looking at scenarios in the life of the school, current events, and history. Ethics can be explored as a part of philosophy and as a part of theology. In this class, we will do both types of ethics. Let me tell you about the topics, what and who we will be studying this year. As this is an introductory course, we will study the basics of ethics. Students will reflect on their own personal decisions, analyze contemporary ethical issues, and apply both Christian values and the thought of key historical philosophers to ethical arguments. Our topics include how to write an argument essay, what are the contributions of philosophers such as the ancient Greeks, modern secular intellectuals, and Christian thinkers such as Augustine and Thomas Aquinas, as well as reading from the documents of Catholic social teaching. I look forward to a time when we can meet or see each other again in person. Thank you very much for entrusting your son or daughter to us.
Thank you. Up next, we have our advanced placement Spanish teacher, Ms. Immaculada Baptista.
Hello. Okay, sorry. Hello, my name is Inma. I'm teaching 11th grade and also AP Spanish. It's my second year with this student, and I enjoy a lot with them. They are great students. This year in AP Spanish, we are focused on different areas. The areas we are focused is in grammar, in comprehension, reading, writing, growing vocabulary, critical thinking, and in different contexts, like family and communities, science and technology, global challenge, personal and public identities. I try to motivate the students to read because it's very important especially because they will be success in college. And every week we are reading a different art form. For example, the last week we were reading Maria Matute, but we are reading different authors from different countries. And the idea I want is that they are able to read, to write well, and also reflecting with critical thinking, okay? Because I think this is the most important. They have homework every week, and if they don't have homework, they need to read always in Spanish, so it's very important. And thank you so much, the parents, for the support they are giving in this hard time. And same communication with me is very easy, so please, if you have any question, reach me out. I'm available when you need me, okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rounding out the humanities side of our team is our advanced placement art teacher, Mrs. Jessica Edwards.
Hi, my name is Jessica. If your child takes art this year, they're taking AP art with me. We have a great group of students this year. They're all very enthusiastic about the work that they've created so far. Unlike other AP classes, we create a portfolio in art. So in May, students will be submitting a 15-piece portfolio. It's based on a theme that they conceive and create that needs to be both visually and conceptually cohesive. Right now, we're in the brainstorming process, but we have a lot of hard work ahead of us. I do want to say, if your student is working from home, please have them speak to me about coming in to get supplies to bring home, or having a friend bring some art supplies home for them to work with. Thank you for coming tonight, and I hope to see you in person soon.
Thank you. So that brings us to our math and science side of our 12th grade team. First up, we have Mr. Curtis Wetzel, who teaches one section of pre-calculus.
Hey everyone, my name is Curtis. This is my first year at Cristo Rey. I'm really excited to be here. It's been a privilege to have the small group of seniors that I'm able to teach so far. In general, expectations for my class will be a modest amount of homework every night to reinforce the topics that we touched that day in class, about 15 or 20 minutes each night on average. And then a weekly quiz or test. Quizzes will be smaller, formative assessments to make sure everyone's keeping up, and then unit tests will be every few weeks, covering multiple weeks of content. If you have any questions or concerns or whatever type of communication, feel free to reach out to me at any time. More specifically in pre-calculus, we like to talk a lot in pre-calc about functions. So if you imagine a machine and you take one number, you plug it into the machine, and it spits out another number. That's what a function is. So we talk about all sorts of different functions and how we can use them to model or analyze real life problems. So like right away, the first types of functions we talk about are exponential functions. And those are really good at modeling, for example, epidemic infection rates, which is very relevant nowadays. So that's what we've been talking about in the first couple weeks so far.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wetzel. Up next, our other math teacher for 12th grade, Ms. Kelly Rigby, who teaches both pre-calculus and the advanced placement calculus courses. Ms. Rigby.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins. Hi, everybody. I'm delighted to be here with you, and I'm really enjoying your fine young men and women. I teach AP Calculus and pre-calculus, along with Mr. Wetzel teaching pre-calculus. The goals of the class are to get them ready for college, to have their math skills really deep, to have them be able to connect the dots across subject matter, and to speak math language. In AP Calc right now, we're doing some pretty heavy lifting using formal mathematical notation, and it's totally new for your students. So once we get through this, we'll start doing more applicable, just numbers and plugging in things and basic solutions. But right now they're saying, what is going on? Just as I said when I started calculus. It's a real delight. We'll do limits. We're doing limits right now, and then we're going to get into derivatives, and we're going to get into integration, all with very heavy real world applications, profit maximization for a business, optimal foreign exchange rates for a country's GNP, all these kinds of things we'll discuss. Areas under curves, rates of change, et cetera, et cetera. In the pre-calculus class, like Mr. Wetzel said, we're doing exponential functions. We're going to be talking about depreciation on that new car anybody bought, or how much that goes down when you buy it year after year. We're going to then get into all the different types of functions. We're going to be able to compare them graphically, equation-wise and table-wise with tabular data. We're going to be able to write the equations, model the real-world behavior. We'll move into some trigonometry, and then we'll finish up with a real pre-calculus introduction, which I'm noticing has been very strong for Cristo Rey Boston students in the past. The students I have in calculus, I've been very impressed with what they know. So we can expect homework every night, except for the nights we have big tests. We will have quizzes either weekly or bi-weekly. It's a little hard with the schedule right now to do them weekly. I don't want to lose too much teaching time. But that should give them an experience of what they know and what they don't know. I'll drop the lowest quiz. I'll drop the lowest 2 quizzes, and the homework should really help them do well on their quizzes and exams. So you really, if you could help me have them do homework. There's been a little remissness at the start of the year, and but as soon as I started putting the grades in the portal, they started responding. So that's good news. They should not take more than 30 minutes on the homework. The AP kids are so diligent. And, you want it probably for them, you need to keep an eye on them, they keep working hard, but also letting them take a little break if they're really working hard. And to ping me a question or whatever by email anytime they have them. So I'm here for you, and I'm here for their learning, and I'm really here to help them achieve all they're capable of. So anything I can do to help, or anything you want to let me know, please reach out. Thank you. They really are a delight.
Thanks, Ms. Rigby. Next, I'll turn it over to our human anatomy and physiology teacher, Mrs. Molly Polio.
Hi, guys. I've taught pretty much all of your children at least once. This is my 5th year at Cristo Rey Boston. So human anatomy and physiology is a study of the human body. We're learning not only about the organs, but also their functions. So we're going to be learning a lot of Greek and Latin terminology, which will mean your students needing to study that terminology. Making Quizlets or flashcards will be extremely helpful in this course. This course was designed for those students who are interested in nursing, medicine, and future science careers. We'll be doing quite a few labs throughout the year, including virtual dissections. Occasionally, labs will require materials, which for students who are virtual will be available at the school for them to pick up. So anytime I'm doing a lab, if it requires physical stuff, they will be able to pick that material up at the school so that they don't have to buy it if they don't want to. If they don't want to come in, then that's on them. But most of the labs will be virtual. And if they are not, the supplies will be at the school for pickup. The end of the course, we will be focusing on diseases and genetic and viral and bacterial infections. So it should be an interesting course for your students. It is going to be built based on what they're most interested in. If you have questions, please email me, and I'm happy to answer them.
Thanks very much, Mrs. Polio. And last but not least, our advanced placement environmental science teacher, Mr. Aiden Naravane.
Hi, everyone. I am Mr. Naravane, and I am teaching a small group of our seniors here at Cristo Rey for our environmental science course. What it entails is just learning about how our world works. Basically, we have 12 topics that we have to cover. Right now, we are learning about biodiversity, the different kinds that are all throughout the world. And then from there, we move on to topics such as land and water use, or renewable energies and energy conservation. From there, we move on to like populations and pollution, whether it's in the atmosphere or water or on the land. And then finally, we end with a topic on global change, where we really get to dive into the last 40 years on how humans have impacted our environment. And throughout the course, depending on the certain topic we're on, we will be discussing relevant legislation, whether it's talking about the Clean Water Act or the new Green Deal. With every lesson, we'll have a relevant legislation that we could be talking about. So not only are we just learning the science portions, but we can learn about the practicality of it and how it applies to our politics. I give homeworks, either 1 or 2 assignments a week, but they're all due Friday by midnight. So if I assign a 1-page report on Monday and I assigned a little homework on Wednesday, I expect both of them to be in the student's homework folder in their OneNote on Friday by midnight. I am usually strict about that, but of course, if there's any issue, please communicate it with me, so that way I can be more lenient. Otherwise, yeah, it's a fairly small class, but I mean, just in these past couple weeks, just the group discussions we've been having, the conversations, it's been great. The students, your kids are so smart and so intuitive. It's, these last 2 weeks have been so great. It really makes me excited for the rest of the year.
Thanks, Mr. Narrated. I would agree. All of your students have been so impressive to me. As another new person at CRB, it's been so great to meet the seniors and beginning to get to know them. So thank you to all of our 12th grade teachers for sharing about their courses. I'll now turn it over to Ms. Forts and Mr. Ryan to tell you a little bit more about our guidance department at CRB.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tanya Forts. I'm the head of guidance this year. This will be my 2nd year at Cristo Rey. This year, we're really going to be focusing on social emotional learning with the students. So that's going to look like self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. So with our staff, we have a great staff this year. We have Nicole Malika, who I will introduce after I'm done speaking. She is going to be working with the majority of the seniors. I will be working with a few and be a coverall for anything that needs to be dealt with. And then we also have Claire Markey. She's working with our freshman and sophomore students. She is a part-time counselor, so we're really excited about that. So I will let Nicole introduce herself, but as always, guidance, we're here for any problems that the students may face, whether it's stress, anxiety, they're struggling maybe with depression, anything in their day-to-day life that's maybe keeping them from performing at their top selves. We are here for them. Our office is always open, and for the remote kids as well, we are available on Teams. We're available through chat, email, you name it. We want to help the kids. We want to make sure, especially in the current climate of the state that we're in with COVID and everything going on, we want to be able to help these kids and be a resource for them to feel comfortable going to school, things outside of school, anything going on in their day-to-day lives. So I will let Nicole introduce herself. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Miss Malika. I am new to CRB and am so excited to be here. The students I've met so far are so fantastic and have so much personality. I look forward to really working with all of our seniors individually. I have sent them an email to encourage them to come to my office and say hello or send me an email to schedule a virtual meeting. So please encourage your student to reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I'm looking forward to a really wonderful and successful year with them. So it's nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Nicole. I also at this point want to introduce Mr. Fred Laporte. Mr. Laporte will be coming on for student advocacy and engagement. Mr. Laporte.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I just want to simply say congratulations to you all. You have done an amazing job. looking forward to work with your children as they transition from Cristo Rey into college as well. I'm just here to sit and to support your children, the model of the school, like class pride and tradition. And I just want to simply say thank you once again. Just looking forward to a wonderful school year.
Thank you, Mr. Laporte. Appreciate that. So also rounding out our counseling efforts are Ms. Christina Shea, who working with the literacy and tutoring, Ms. Sklar, who many of you know who helps out with our attendance. Mr. Bob Fanning is our special education consultant. And then the person who really runs a lot of things at Cristo Rey is Miss Elizabeth Ortiz, who helps to make sure that all students are well and at the school. I do want to just share with the guidance, you do see we really understand how important grade 12 is. So Miss Malika came from Emmanuel College. Mr. Laporte has a background in college, getting students into college. Mr. Rateau and Mr. Torres, who will speak later, so we really have put a lot of resources into helping them with the college process. I will turn it back over to Mr. Mullins, who will go through expectations and norms for grade 12.
Thanks, Mr. Ryan. So this will be fairly quick. Just over these next two slides, I wanted to share with everybody some of our grade-wide expectations and norms. As Ms. Powers mentioned right up front, this year is the most proximate goal is, of course, successfully graduating Cristo Rey Boston and finishing up senior year. But we are a school that also aims to prepare students to be their best in their college careers and in their professional careers. So for 12th grade this year, these policies around homework, late assignments, and retaking assignments are meant to mirror policies that many of your students will encounter in college. So if these are perhaps a little bit different than you saw in previous years, that's the reason why. So the first norm that we have for our 12th grade is posting of our homework and daily objectives. Because the majority of the seniors are in the building in person, it's been great to see them. For those students who are in the building, their homework and the objective for each class will be posted on the classroom whiteboard so that those students can see it there. But because we also have a number of seniors who are learning virtually in a remote environment, that homework and daily objectives will also be posted to Microsoft Teams. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at any of your students' Teams or their Microsoft OneNote notebooks, you can ask them to show you. They log into that via their Cristo Rey Boston login. We don't have access for parents to Microsoft Teams, just part of the security with the Microsoft package, but your students will be able to show that to you. Comes to late assignments, and this is where we really try to make our policies reflective of the average college policy. So when students are assigned a due date, if that assignment is not handed in by the due date, they will be deducted points from their final grade. If that assignment is handed in less than 1 week after the original deadline, they'll only be deducted 10% of the grade that they earn. If an assignment is handed in more than 1 week late, but less than 2 weeks late, the student would have 20% deducted from the final grade that they earn. After 2 weeks, assignments will generally not be accepted. However, as a couple of our teachers have noted, if there are circumstances outside of school that are, or even just stress about school as they're going through their college process that gets in the way of them handing things in on time, we ask them to please have a conversation with their teacher. And then the teacher would loop in you as their caregiver and our academic support staff to make sure that we are offering the best support to each of our students. In a similar way, retaking assignments. Under most circumstances, students will not be given the opportunity to retake an assignment. However, again, we know that especially this year, there are a lot of other factors playing into your students' education. So if there are circumstances that have gotten in the way of your student doing their best, please encourage them to have a conversation with the teacher first, and then we can loop in you as their caregiver as well as our academic support staff and arrange an alternative assessment for students so that they can show their best. Here on this next slide, these are a couple expectations that are school-wide, but I just thought would be worth mentioning since it's been a while since we've all been in the school building together. So the first is that there are not extra credit assignments available to students. Because our teachers do have a very clear policies around late work, and as I mentioned, will be very flexible with students when they need help. We ask students to just be in communication with their teachers, be proactive about that, so that there's no need for extra credit. Monitoring student progress, something that I know is very important to you as their family and their caregivers. So we've asked our teachers to have their grade books in RenWeb updated at least every 2 weeks. So for example, on Monday, you should be able to log in and see any grades that your student has accumulated over these first few weeks of the school year. If you have any trouble accessing RenWeb, your first stop for that would be Ms. Elizabeth Ortiz in the main office, who should be able to help you get connected to that. Lastly, we know that education works best when our teachers and our parents and caregivers are really active partners with each other. So we have asked teachers to be in frequent communication with students' families and about the good things, as well as areas that your students might be able to grow. So if you've had any recent changes in your email address or phone number, please be sure to let Ms. Ortiz in our main office know about that, so that teachers can reach you to share all the great things that your seniors are doing. And I'll hand it back over to Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins. Now it's for senior corporate work study. I'll turn it over to Mr. Bowen. Or is Mr. Swanson here?
I am here. I thought Mr. Bowen would be here as well, but that's okay. Just wanted to say that corporate work study concentrates on improving the characteristics of the student through work at corporate jobs, which also then improves the student's work within the academic world. And that's just an example of how we work together to make sure that the student's in better position for college and or career afterwards. As you see on the slide here, we have started our corporate work study program, and that students are indeed going out to work. But some of the students are working by remote means. That is, the placements are not accepting students at the site, but the students can do the work by working on their computer from home or working on the computer from school. Some of the sites are not yet accepting students at all, and that those students are then working on corporate work study programs through training that we are doing through AES, third-party software. And we just ask that parents, guardians help make sure that the students are available starting at 10 a.m. on the corporate work study days to begin that training. If there are any questions, they can contact the corporate work study program afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson. This is Mr. Bowen. I am here. My mic was just misbehaving a minute ago. But I just want to add, parents, that we have an amazing team. Mr. Swanson is our senior account manager. We have 4 others working on our team. We're all back for another year. All of us were here last year as well. And our motto in corporate study for Cristo Rey is college ready and career prepared. And we really believe that the work that your students do in corporate work study is almost as important for their college readiness as for their career preparedness. And we've seen it to be very formative. And although many of your students will be training for these first couple months of the fall, we do have more companies opening back up each month. We have more coming in October, more in November. And by Christmas, we're optimistic that most of your seniors will be back to work. But we're excited about training them and deploying them out to work again as soon as is possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. I'm actually going to skip ahead to the college process part. I will come back and do health and safety. I realize it's already 6:40, and I want to get to the college process part. So for this, I will turn it over to Ms. Rateau and Mr. Torres.
Hi, Tom. Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me? I always have to check because I'm not always sure my computer's working properly, but can everybody hear me? Can I get a thumbs up high five with the clap signal. All right, excellent. Thank you so much for having me here, and welcome everybody to Back to School Night. It's really great to connect with you all. Congratulations to all the parents, the guardians, the support systems, the mentors for supporting your senior and getting them to their final year of high school. My name is Debbie Rateau. I am the director of the college counseling team here at Cristo Rey Boston. I started back here last March, right before the pandemic took place. So while everyone was virtual, I was supporting the seniors with analyzing their award letters, making their final decisions, doing scholarship research, while also supporting the juniors through a weekly workshop class to get them prepared for this point that they are in right now. Prior to working here, I was the senior assistant director at Lesley University. Before that, I was an education advisor at the West Roxbury Education Complex. So my passion has always been to support students with their post-secondary planning. I feel very fortunate to be in this position. I don't take it lightly at all. The college counseling team consists of myself and Mr. Torres, and I'll give him a couple of minutes to introduce himself to you and let you know more about his role as a college counselor and an alumni advisor within Cristo Rey.
How you doing, guys? My second Mitchell Toes comments. Congratulations on turning your senior year. To the parents, thank you so much for supporting your kids. My name is Victor Torres. I've been with Cristo Rey Boston. This is going on to my third year. I will be, for the most part, helping your kids enter into college, and obviously helping with the college counseling department. And I'm also the alumni advisor, so that aspect of it is helping the students in college. So, it's 2 and 3 college. So yeah, I just look forward to
All right, thank you, Kyle. Maybe I'll just give a head nod and that will indicate to you we can move on to the next slide. This is a lot of information. Oop, I'm sorry, you can't hear me?
No, you can. I just wanted to say something real quick in Spanish. Yo hablo español, so para los padres que tengan preguntas o que estén pensando lo que sea, ustedes me pueden, en este momento, en esta, ¿me entienden? Lo que estamos haciendo ahora, ustedes me pueden parar o no pueden parar, o me pueden mandar un correo electrónico y para poder ayudarlo a ustedes.
Thank you, Victor. And so again, welcome to Back to School Night. I know there's been a whole lot of information being thrown at you tonight, and I want this piece of the night to be as engaging as possible. If you have any specific questions regarding the college application process and how Mr. Torres and I are supporting your senior, please feel free to either put it in the chat or just speak out. I don't want to just be throwing a whole lot of information at you. It is a lot. I want to make sure that I'm answering and targeting this presentation to your needs as a parent of a high school senior. So please feel free to interrupt. I'm working with 15 minutes. I do have a tendency to go on and on. It's only because I want to make sure you're getting everything that you need. But again, do not hesitate to stop me if you have any questions. So the purpose of Mr. Torres and I presenting to you today is to give you an overview of the work that your senior will be doing this year as it pertains to the college application process. So we're going to go over the procedures. We're going to go over some ways that you can support your senior. We're going to talk about the Common App and NAVIANCE, the 2 major applications that they'll be working on to submit applications. We'll give you an update on the SAT and the ACTs, and COVID has disrupted the normal process with that, and we'll get into some scholarship and FAFSA information. Kyle, you can go on to the next slide. So the application procedures. Right now, seniors are working on creating a college list. A few of them have completed that process. So, when we meet with seniors, we discuss with them the importance of having a college list that includes a reach, target, and a likely school, so that at the end they have a good amount of options to work with. Once they've established their college list, they'll start by checking which application deadlines are earliest, and then they will apply to those that are earlier through the college website or common application website. Yep, you can go ahead, Kyle. So I mentioned deadlines in the last slide. Students have several different options when it comes to the deadlines to the colleges that they're applying to. So an option is regular decision. Most colleges, most students will apply regular decision to a college. That normally means that your deadline will fall between the months of January or February, and you have until May 1st to make your decision. Rolling admission means that there is no deadline and that students can apply within the admission cycle. We always advise students, though, that does not necessarily mean take your time, because oftentimes colleges that do have rolling admissions can deny your application because they no longer have seats available. So we're still pushing to have students submit their applications by January, no matter if the college only offers rolling admission. Early action is when a student decides, you know what, I'm going to take this early on. I'm in a good space. I finished my college essay. I know which college I'm really passionate about. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I submit all my college applications by November 1st. When you do that, you will hear from that college by the end of December, early January. And that offers students a sigh of relief, knowing that the college that they really want to get into has notified them where they stand, whether or not they've gotten accepted, so they can decide to then continue on with other applications or just focus in that moment, if they've gotten accepted, on scholarship and financial aid opportunities. If a student decides to apply early, they do not need to commit to attending that school. It's just that the school has notified them early, and they need to notify the school if they'll be attending their school by May 1st. That is the major difference between early action and early decision. Early decision is binding. That is when a student decides, I'm going to apply to the school early, and if they accept me, I'm committing to attending that school. So that's the major difference between early action and early decision. Schools nowadays are also offering restrictive early action, and this is non-binding. There's no commitment attached to it. The only major difference is that if you decide to apply restrictive early action to a school, you can only apply early action to that one school. And the benefit on the student's end is, again, usually you'll apply restrictive early action to a school you're very passionate about. And so if you get in, it takes a whole weight off your shoulders. On the college's end, it gives them also a sigh of relief, because they know that the students that they're accepting have a higher chance of actually attending their college. And so those are the options that students are working with when they're applying for colleges. You can go on to the next slide, please. So how can you help? We mentioned all of those deadlines, and as you can imagine, it's a lot to juggle. One of the most important things is to help students prioritize their responsibilities and have conversations with them about their application deadlines. Encourage them to be organized, help make a plan. You can have a calendar, a checklist, a timeline that's visible, so that's something that you and your senior are reminded of on a regular basis. And then have conversations if possible. I know it's busy, parents work. I'm a parent myself, so I know my time is oftentimes stretched pretty thin, but set some time, even if it's on a weekend, even if it's once a month, to just check in. Hey, how's everything going? Did you meet that deadline? What are your top choices? Be engaged so that students know that they have you for support, and it might help them to stay on track as well. Mr. Torres, please feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I got you. No, I think, yeah, you're doing a good job. Yeah, there's nothing really I can say. I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head. I mean, if anybody, si alguno de los padres tienen cualquier pregunta, ustedes pueden en cualquier momento escriban en el chat para que yo le pueda traducir lo que se está diciendo.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. I realize I'm standing in the way probably of some of you getting to dinner and homework. So again, I'll try to go through these as fast as I can. And so I mentioned to you the importance of students staying organized. I'm very old school. I know a lot of students use technology and their calendars on their phone. Something that's always been helpful for me is utilizing something that's more tangible that I can write down and erase and cross out. So something like this, like a calendar where you are marking deadlines and different things that are going on within the college application process, but also including other things that are going on. Because like we said, it's all about time management. If you have practice, if you have work, if you have family responsibilities, those all sort of have to come together in order for you to be able to navigate through this process. So staying organized, allotting time for specific projects, research papers, work, essays that you have to complete, is very helpful. And so students, again, they have the deadlines to think about, they have all of these pieces, it all comes together on the common application. So this is something, parents, that you will hear your senior talk a lot about, and you will hear Mr. Torres and myself refer to. The common application is an application that students will use to apply to majority of their schools. There are about 700 colleges and universities that use the Common App. And so Mr. Torres and I have already introduced the Common App to seniors, so they are familiar with it. But the Common App has different sections. There's a profile section, a family section, an education section, which asks about the students' high school grades and classes that they're taking. The testing asks for SAT scores. The activity section focuses on any activities, and that includes, again, family responsibilities, church, work, leadership, corporate work study, volunteer experiences. Anything that they've been involved in since the 9th grade, they're asked to write about and explain in the activity section. The writing section is where they will upload their college essay. And as Mr. Levine explained earlier, he's working with students on that. And once he's done with their draft, Mr. Torres and I will be taking that over and working with students to finalize their drafts. And then the courses and grades is where students can choose to upload or enter the names of the courses and grades they've received. That's optional. It's not really a feature that we ask students to complete, because every college they apply to will receive a copy of their transcript, and we'll be sending it off to them. That is the common application. Does anyone have any questions about anything that I've said so far?
I just want to say real quick before we move on, for the Spanish-speaking parents, lo que estamos haciendo en estos momentos es básicamente explicándole a ustedes lo que estamos haciendo con los hijos de ustedes. Queremos que ustedes sean parte del proceso. O sea, hay muchos casos que, tú me entiendes, por varias, varias situaciones, los padres trabajan y los niños, o sea, los padres por un lado y los niños por otro lado. Y nosotros no queremos eso. Nosotros queremos que los padres y los niños estén unidos con nosotros en el proceso, ¿me entiende? Yo quiero que usted, bueno, nosotros queremos que apoyen a los niños y para que se queden activos, porque los niños también con la escuela, con la tarea, a veces se pierden, y después un padre con el trabajo, y tiene que ser también otra cosa. So, queremos que ustedes estén envueltos con nosotros y que nos ayuden y nos apoyen también, fuera de la escuela y fuera de la clase. You can continue.
Thank you so much, Mr. Torres, and continue to do that. Just jump in. The common application. So I just mentioned to you that there are two main applications that students use. I went over briefly the common application, and there's also NAVIANCE. What ends up happening is that students will match their common application to their NAVIANCE application. And so NAVIANCE is really what I like to refer to as sort of the postal system that students use to send colleges their transcripts and their recommendation letters. So the matching process is pretty simple. Some students are actually at this point already. The college search tab is where they'll enter their names of their colleges. Kyle, you can go on to the next page. Once they've entered their list of colleges, that will appear on the left side. So this example is showing that the student is applying to Drexel University, and the student will focus on where it says recommenders and FERPA. You can go to the next slide, Kyle, and that will take them to the FERPA release authorization form. They will check off that they've read and understood the FERPA release authorization form. Keep going, Kyle. They'll sign and date it, and they'll save and close. You can go to the next one, Kyle. Thank you. And once they have done that, they will then get into their NAVIANCE account. So all students have received a username and password from me. That's the only way they can get access to the NAVIANCE account. But once they do that, they will then go into the colleges tab on the NAVIANCE. They'll click on where it says colleges I'm applying to. Kyle, you can go on to the next slide, please. And then they'll click on where it says match accounts. Once they do that, the colleges that they enter on Common App are then going to appear on NAVIANCE. This is a way for Mr. Torres and I to track exactly what colleges students are applying to and the documents that they may still need. You can go on to the next slide, Kyle. So teacher recommendations, like I said, are sent from NAVIANCE. Students are required to ask 2 teachers, and we ask that students ask the teachers in person. Whoop, I'm sorry? Okay, I think that's a little kiddo talking in the back. Okay, so students, is that a question? I'm sorry, I don't want to cut anyone off or be rude. Is that a question or just background noise? Okay. I'm going to continue, but please, if that was a question, I just couldn't hear you, a little bit low. So items sent from NAVIANCE, we do ask students do need 2 teacher recommendation letters. Students are required to complete a brag sheet in order to get a recommendation letter from a teacher. A brag sheet really is what the name says. It's a student bragging about themselves. What are some of your accomplishments? What are your goals? What do you want to study? Things that teachers may not know from a student being in their class. They use this brag sheet to beef up their college applications. So it's in their best interest to really fill it out as thoughtfully and as honestly as possible. Once the students have asked permission from a teacher and given them the brag sheet, that's when they will select that teacher through their NAVIANCE account. So they won't get a physical copy from the teacher, nor will the teacher email it to them. It all works through NAVIANCE. So the teacher's email addresses are already in the system. The students will select the school, and then they will select the teacher that they want to write the recommendation for that school. Teachers are busy, as I'm sure you all are aware. They have classes, so giving them as much notice as possible is very helpful. NAVIANCE is a good tracking system as well. Students can determine when a teacher has uploaded their recommendation letter or when a teacher hasn't, in case they might need a little nudge or a reminder. And students should know they will never be able to read the teacher recommendations from NAVIANCE. Kyle, you can go to the next page. Students will also need a counselor recommendation for each of their college, and that's also done through NAVIANCE. And I just listed the steps there, but for the sake of time, you can go on to the next slide, Kyle. Transcripts are also sent from NAVIANCE. So you can see NAVIANCE is really, really important. This is something that Mr. Torres and I will immediately be notified about. So that's why the matching process between the Common App and NAVIANCE is really important. You can go ahead, Kyle. So some of you may be thinking, well, what happens if a college is not a Common App school? Because you mentioned that a majority of them are. If a college is not a Common App school, students will go to that college's website and they will have their application listed. So colleges like Salem State, Fitchburg State, I believe, are not Common App schools. And all you have to do, yep, go ahead.
No, Benjamin Franklin, you good.
Benjamin Franklin, yep. And for those schools, the student would have to just go to the college's website and go to the application and fill it out from there. We will enter the college manually on NAVIANCE, so the student is responsible for communicating that to us as well. So that's a lot, but you can also understand too that your students are doing a lot. Does anyone have any questions about Common App or NAVIANCE at this point? Victor, do you want to translate anything?
No, I pretty much told them just that we want them to be involved, and any questions, feel free to reach out to all of to me or you, and yeah, we just want them to be a part of the process. But I just explained to them that what we were showing them is basically what the students already know.
Perfect. The SAT and ACT scores. So the pandemic has completely ruined the SAT process. There's been a lot of cancellations with dates at various locations. And so the counseling team has been working with seniors since the end of junior year to get them registered. A lot of colleges are going SAT optional as a result of the pandemic. That means that if students choose not to submit their scores, they won't be penalized. But if they do and they've scored well on the SATs, it's to their benefit, not only for acceptance purposes, but also for scholarship purposes. So we want to give students the chance to take it. We are offering the SATs in-house in October to make sure all students get to take it, and students should also have a second date where they are taking it. Cancellations have been occurring, and students have been asked to notify myself and Mr. Torres if that's happened, and we reschedule them if that's the case. So all of this work we're mentioning, how exactly are we meeting seniors and working with them? Mr. Torres and I are very fortunate, and this is something very unique to Cristo Rey. At least in all my 9 years working at a high school, there was never any class time carved out to support students with the application process. But we do have that luxury here where we meet with all seniors twice a week. So they receive support and guidance with pieces of the college application process. They're also encouraged to meet with us during the week. They can set up appointments so they can meet one-on-one with us. And I'll get into the link in the contact information and how to schedule appointments a little bit later in the presentation. You can go to the next slide, Kyle. Oh, it's the next slide, actually. So Mr. Torres and I are really excited about the Cristo Rey website. We have a counseling section that will not only let you know what we're working on in class, it also has several of our deadlines posted on there. It has some scholarship links. It also has our appointment link that we really want to encourage parents to utilize. So both of our names are listed. When you go onto the Cristo Rey website, you go into academics and then counseling. There's a link that says schedule an appointment, and Mrs. Torres and I's information pops up. You can see right underneath our email address is a schedule an appointment with myself or Mr. Torres, and that will give you about a 45-minute time slot. So what's available is listed there. We are very flexible. If you want to do a Zoom meeting, that is perfectly fine. If you want to do a phone call, that works as well. We want to encourage you to communicate with us. Let us know any questions or concerns that you have. In addition to the website that, again, we're very happy about, we will be sending out newsletters every month starting in October. So please be on the lookout for that, where we will highlight, what's going on in the college world, not just within the Cristo Rey community, but just in college in general. And this will be something sent out to all grade levels so that you're keeping on top of what your child will eventually be going through as a senior themselves. So please, please, please check out the website. All of our resources are there, and the best way to get in touch with us is also through the website. Thank you, Kyle. You can go to the next slide. So just some really some due dates that are coming up. Mr. Torres, again, stop me if you want to translate or if you want to insert yourself, okay? Again, please leave at least 2 or 3 weeks for letters of recommendations and transcripts to be processed. FAFSA opens October 1st. That's when students can begin filling out their financial aid forms. October 14th is SAT Day at Cristo Rey Boston, and November 1st is the early action deadline. And some students, it's a good idea to talk with your child about, have you chosen to do early? Are you doing regular? if they're choosing to be early, just be aware that the November 1st deadline is around the corner. Financial aid. I know parents always have a lot of questions, as I know I would, regarding financial aid and affording college. We will be hosting a financial aid night in October. But just know for now that students will file the FAFSA October 1st. But there's still some websites. There's FastWeb, there's College Greenlight, NAVIANCE also has a lot of different scholarships on their website. We have already had students applying. There's some scholarships that they had to begin over the summer. There's some interviews that have happened for several different scholarships. So we are working with students on that piece already. So again, if you have any questions or concerns or need more information about any of that, please feel free to get in touch with us. And yep, so right now we are scheduling our financial aid night October 2nd. It'll be a Zoom meeting similar to this one. We're hoping to have an expert from NEFA to come in and talk to you about the financial aid process and what to expect, but more information to come, and that will also be on the college website, another reason to utilize it. But thank you again. Mr. Torres and I were very fortunate to work with such a great group of kids. We understand the importance of supporting them and you with the college process. We understand it does not all fall on us. It really is a team project. We all have to be on the same page, supporting one another to get the seniors moving down the line. So again, thank you. Thank you for being here with us tonight, and hopefully I'll connect with you all soon.
Hi, good evening. I have a question.
Sure.
Yes. Can you please go over that the deadlines, please, and what is available for the students, the financial aid?
Yep, I think you said to go over the deadlines. Is that correct?
Yes, and the financial aid that are available.
Yep, and so as far as due dates that are coming up, or some important dates that are coming up, the financial aid application opens up at October 1st. So students can't begin it until then. And colleges have different deadlines. It really depends on the college that students are applying to. But we were hoping to get students completed with the FAFSA before the December break. Sometimes it lingers and students are done before they come back from the break, which is fine as well. October 14th is when we're housing the SAT exam at Cristo Rey Boston. And November 1st is the deadline if students are applying early. If you're asking me about specific deadlines for college applications, it depends. If your senior has decided I want to apply early to this school, they're looking at November 1st, as it says on this slide. If they're doing regular, then they're looking at a deadline that either falls in January or February. So again, it depends on the method that they're using for the school. And they're communicating that to us so that we can make sure to get their materials submitted. I think you also asked about FAFSA. We are going to have a financial aid night that we can go over in more detail what the financial aid process entails. But for right now, we have been emailing students various different scholarship applications. We are encouraging students to apply. We have on the college website a list of different websites that students can utilize to research scholarships. But we'll go into the FAFSA, like I said, in more detail during FAFSA night. Did I answer all of your questions?
Yes, you're doing great. So let me get this straight. So the NAVIANCE scholarship, is my saying it right?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you.
You said it was also the NAVIANCE scholarship?
No, so I said NAVIANCE also has a list of different scholarships that students can apply to.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's a big piece, and it's interesting that you asked me this question because Mr. Torres and I were talking about this earlier. Just because we know it's a realistic concern, so we are pumping students with information. We'll also, there'll be space. There's space already on the website where we've listed different websites where students can enter information about themselves, such as GPA, major of interest, where they live, and based off of that information, the website will create a list of scholarships that match the answers that they entered. And so if you entered that your GPA is 3.0, I'm interested in biology, a list of scholarships that meet that criteria will pop up. But also we're selecting students. We're meeting with students as they're creating their college list. If they've said to us, I'm interested in Northeastern and my GPA, and we know they meet the criteria for the Torch scholarship that Northeastern offers, we're providing them with that information as well.
That's great. Thank you so much. I appreciate what you guys are doing. It's very helpful. And I know everyone's stressed out right now, but it kind of eases my mind a little bit.
And, I can understand. I try to approach each student as if they were my own child, and I can imagine the stress that a parent feels. So again, is this Laura?
Yes, it is.
Laura, please get in touch with Mr. Torres or myself if you're curious and want to know exactly where your child stands and what they need to get done or how you can support them. Contact us and we'll have that conversation with you.
I will.
Okay. I think that's it. Unless Mr. Torres, you want to add anything?
No, that was perfect. I mean, we want the parents involved. We can't, stress it enough. But I think Laura's saying something else.
Oh no, I'm all set.
Okay.
Thank
so
you.
Yeah, I mean, we want the parents involved, and as you mentioned earlier, it's a teamwork. You know what I mean? It's us in the school, in the classroom, in the counseling office, and in some ways, in a lot of ways, is the parents at home. Keeping the students, motivated and staying involved, and yeah. So we want the parents involved.
Thank you. Yes, we definitely do. And Mr. Ryan, that's all we have from the college counseling end.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ratto and Mr. Torres. That's a lot of information, and you really did a nice job of presenting it to make it seem an unmanageable process into a manageable process. Really appreciate that. So we're going to end tonight by going back to the health slides that I just wanted to update folks on where things are and some reminders with health and safety at the school. So just want to remind you, symptom check every morning for any of the following. And if they have any one of the following, your child should stay home. Fever, chills, or shaking, signs of any respiratory things such as cough, shortness of breath, fatigue or sore throat, body aches, myalgia, or any loss of taste or smell. And then any of the, what are less common are the stomach issues that we see. Just want to point out a few things. If you were near a close contact, you have to quarantine for 14 days. So you have to stay out of school for 14 days if you were around a close contact, even if you test negative. What happens if you are showing any one of those symptoms that we talked about earlier? You have to do one of two things. So say we ask that you get a test, and if you get a test and it's negative and your symptoms go down, you can come back to school. If you don't want to get a test for whatever reason, you have to stay out of school for 10 days. So this is only if you're showing symptoms, but have not been by a close contact. A few other just reminders. Please, your students have done a great job. Your children have done a great job of wearing their mask. That's not been an issue at the school. A person's health and medical history is confidential. So if someone tests positive we do not tell the community, as we are not allowed to release the name of somebody that this happens. All immunizations must be up to date. Students must have a flu shot by the end of December, unless it's for religious exemption. And finally, we're really excited that we've partnered with Boston College School of Nursing. These are all students who are getting their master's degree in nursing. They already are existing registered nurses, and they will be joining the school Wednesday, Thursday, Friday each day. They will be also putting on some programming in the future. We're really excited to have them. So thanks again. It's now 7:15. This has been recorded. Thank you for the great question, and I hope all is well and everyone is healthy and safe, and look forward to seeing your children again tomorrow. Thank you.